Hello and welcome to Fight News Now Extra. My name is John Pollock. We've got all your news going on in mixed martial arts. In today's headlines, Matt Brown is not pleased with the UFC, Ben Askren finally gets his rematch, and Ronda Rousey slams the Nevada Commission. You can officially add UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion Ronda Rousey to the list of growing Nick Diaz supporters. Speaking to members of the media on Tuesday night at a press conference in Australia promoting her UFC 193 title fight, the undefeated champion was critical of the Nevada Athletic Commission, claiming testing for marijuana was an invasion of privacy and that she did not support it. This, of course, comes after the Nevada Commission handed out a 5-year suspension to welterweight star Nick Diaz on Monday. Following a controversial no contest due to an eye poke in their first encounter, Ben Askren and Luis Santos will finally have a chance to square off again when they meet in the headlining bout of One Pride of Lions on November the 13th in Singapore. Askren and Santos first met in April in what was looking like a competitive fight until an unfortunate eye poke caused a halt just 2:19 into the first round. And welterweight contender Matt Brown is none too pleased with the UFC following the news that his own promoter would be paying for his opponent, Kelvin Gastelum's nutritionist, for their upcoming fight. The news came out after the 23-year-old Gastelum let it slip during an interview with Fox Sports' Damon Martin, stating that Dana White personally offered to cover the tab for famed nutritionist George Lockhart. Brown and Gastelum are set to meet on November the 21st at UFC Fight Night 78. We will be back on Saturday night, September the 26th, for the next UFC event, this one taking place from Saitama, Japan, as Josh Barnett meets Roy Nelson in the heavyweight main event. A full 1-hour preview kicks off at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Here with John Ramdeen and Robin Black to chat about all of today's news. Ronda Rousey is pissed about Nick Diaz's suspension. She clearly watched Robin's rant on Tuesday. A lot of people very upset over this entire thing. I don't think there's much more to speak about regarding this. I think everyone can assume Nick Diaz, it's going to be a costly battle for him, but one that I feel he should pursue. It's an insane length of suspension that I feel he will appeal.
Is it going to be more than $165,000 that he lost? If he appeals this, will he not be able to get that money back and then allocate those funds
He'll
to
still
the
have
legal
a fine
team?
after all this. He's still going to have some length of suspension.
Yeah, I'm sure.
$165,000. You know, there isn't much left to say about it other than the fact that, you know, if you already thought Ronda was beautiful and awesome, she's a little more beautiful and awesome. And speaking of, Gina Carano.
She's biased, though, to be honest. She has an
why, because she likes weed?
No, she
Ronda
has
likes
an
weed.
affiliation
Even better.
to the team. So she has trained with them before. So
well, Gina Carano has not, and she came out and she was very against
People were like, who's Gina Carano?
Yeah. But, you know, one thing you're thinking about is he passed the one drug test, the quality drug test, and then later he passed the other one. And then there was this big spike after the fight. And people were like, what's up? Listen, he's walking down the hall and his buddy's like, great fight, man, and hands him one. He has a puff. That's the logical thing. And even if that was the case, it's ridiculous that that isn't allowed. Like, I mean, there's a long, winding conversation about much of this, but ultimately when you get, you know, when the public gets a chance to speak about things, it matters these days. People will say, there are people who are like, what, gay marriage? People are in support of that? Because people live in a little bubble where they think the 5 people they talk to are the opinion of the whole world. The whole world doesn't think weed should be something that you test for athletes, and many of us think it should be legal anyway.
True, but then it's like that's the fight that you take in between fights. If Nick Diaz wants to petition that this should not be allowed, then he should be petitioning for that, not failing a test and then we have the argument. Like every fighter is subjected to this where there is in competition, and that includes hours after the fight. And listen, I don't think marijuana necessarily needs to be tested for, but it is. And these are the rules. You and I, the three of us, have different rules working for a media company than an average person off of the street. And this is what you sign up for when you are a fighter and go by the bylaws.
That's what it comes down to.
True, but and take Nick Diaz out of it. Take him personally in our opinion of what he's done. There's something in our society right now called a disruption. When things happen that people rally behind. It's the nature of social media. It's the nature of how our open discussion public has happened. And this is one of those moments. So regardless of your opinions on Nick Diaz, what we have right now is a disruption in the culture. And when there's a disruption in the culture, try not to let it go away in 2 days. Really go and sign that petition against the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Really go and make your voice heard, because disruptions in our culture can be very powerful.
What do you feel would be a reasonable fine suspension for Nick Diaz coming out of it? What would have been a proper length that you would have been okay with? This is his third violation in Nevada.
Again, if you're going to follow the rules and they say they're trying to change things, you fail 3 times, you get the 3-year suspension. So because of that and the fact that Nick Diaz has been on the stand in front of them before and says, I will never, ever, ever do this again, and he fails a second time and fails a third time, I think 3 years would be a good punishment. But because of the circumstances, I think it should be reduced because of everything surrounding Nick Diaz.
And while we're talking about disruptions, this is a time to talk about marijuana. It's also a time to talk about draconian laws and how these commissions work. Derek Swanton over on Camera One here pointed out this morning that those 2 first failed tests under the new what they measure now actually wouldn't have been a failed test anyways. So we have now got smarter and realized that that wasn't a failure. That wasn't at a level where even anybody would consider that to be outside of the rules the first times. Now this one has a questionable thing. I'm not playing his lawyer, that's his lawyer's job. But when you look at how this is all happening, the commission now goes, well, you point out this, you point out this, you point out this. Yeah, but we're kind of pissed off. This guy's been offensive. He's not taking our authority into account. And that is one of the feelings that has people so angry.
Quickly, before we wrap things up, Bellator has a big card this Saturday. There's a number of big shows coming our way. But Saturday night, where do you sense the interest level for this? Because they're trying a lot of different things for this show, combining it with glory fights. On the undercard, they're going to have 2 fights going on at once on the undercard, which is going to be nuts for the crowd there. And as well, a one-night 4-man tournament in the light heavyweight division.
I just think that the entire scope of this show, if you're a combat sports fan, you really are, glory is the sport for you. You tune in, these guys are trying to kick each other in the head, they're trying to punch each other, there's no ground game, you're limited for techniques in the clinch. It is very, very fan friendly. You talk about the tournament, you know, for people that don't necessarily know the Bellator product, they see Mr. Wonderful, they see Phil Davis, they're intrigued. You have Tito Ortiz in the main event against the undefeated champion Liam McGarry. You have Josh Thompson on the card. You have Gilbert Melendez's wife, Carrie, on the card as well, our boy Mike Malott. So there's a lot of reasons to tune into the show. It's just overload when it comes to
Bellator public relations.
You murdered
John
that.
Ramsey
This
here.
guy
Oh my
killed
God.
that. And he didn't even mention that one of the greatest voices in the history of commentary will be on the show. You get to hear Mauro Ranallo do his thing too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Robin Black, John Ramdeen. You can contact him, john@bellator.com. For John Pollock, all of us, we will chat with you later this week about more Bellator Dynamite.